if you're looking for a masterclass on artwork, inking, lettering, coloring, whatever it may be, storytelling, this to me is as close to a perfect comic book as I can find. How can you have a channel and talk about comics and not cover this comic? I mean, this is probably one of the most iconic comic books ever printed in the history of comic. Here is some Barry Windsor-Smith Weapon X, because why not? If you've never seen those issues of Conan, I'm shocked that you're even here. But if you haven't, it looked like Jack Kirby, but like Jack Kirby light. It didn't look very good. And then he grew into this amazing artist by the end of the run. I've talked about it before when I covered any kind of Barry Windsor-Smith stuff. We'll go through the pages as I'm talking. But then you look at this artist here and you go, my goodness. I don't know when this book came out. I think it came out in the 90s, I want to say. Like 92, maybe? I'm not sure, so don't quote me on it. It says 88. So 88, and let's say Conan was in, I don't know, like 71 or something, 72. I mean, the amount of growth that he had in that period of time is insanity. The amount of growth this guy did in that period of time is insanity. You can see all these fine art techniques being used here. And the other thing that I love about this book is everything looks like a Bridgeman drawing, and everything looks solid like a Michelangelo drawing. I mean, he was studying fine art at this point, I'm assuming. And the first thing you notice when you open this book, that color is amazing. And it definitely brings you back to a period of time. No, I wasn't around, but it seemed like everything in the 80s was very bright. He didn't create this very dreary looking comic. It's a very dreary story, but the color looks unfucking believable. And that's one of the that's one of the reasons why this comic is so amazing, is because it takes all the elements of comics and does it the best it possibly can. I mean, just to a level of insanity. So, I mean, and it has that cyberpunk feel, that very Blade Runner feel. Like, it's just beautiful. And this book just, how can you not be inspired by this? I mean, there's so many guys in comics that came after this. And I couldn't imagine being like a guy like Frank Miller and just being like, this is my competition. I love Frank Miller. I adore Frank Miller. I've done videos on Frank Miller. I love Frank Miller. But if I was Frank Miller and I saw this, I'd be shitting my fucking pants. I'd be like, dude, I gotta become as good as this guy. Because this guy is unfucking believable. I mean, just look at the anatomy. Look at let's look at the composition. Look at the panel choices. Look at the color. Look at the fucking hatching. I mean, it's such a beautiful comic. It's beautiful. It's perfection. I mean, this is like, to me, the Citizen Kane of comics. This was the comic, excuse me, that Barry Windsor-Smith was like born to make. And we covered Monsters on the channel. Monsters is a beautiful comic too, and I love Monsters, but this is everything this guy was working towards. I mean, look at the form of the nose there. I mean, I'm just looking at all this anatomy, all the hatching. I mean, it's like Bridgeman drawings, but it's so beautiful. I am blown away that a human being can do this, that can draw like this. Did I skip a page? I believe I did. Sorry, Barry. But I mean, everything looks good. He's not slouching on anything. The cars look great. The buildings look great. The interior looks great. The characters look great. The stuff that he's using for like technological stuff or machinery looks great. The water looks great. I mean, he doesn't have to add things like that, like the water drops in the window, but he does. And the color, oh my goodness. And thank God Marvel doesn't fuck with it. And they just, we're gonna recolor it, like, we're gonna let Brian Boland recolor fucking Killing Joke. No, leave it alone. It looks beautiful. I mean, look at those highlights of colors there. You have like blues and yellows. It looks amazing. And there's not a single panel in this book. This video is going to be long, so this is going to be basically jerking off fucking Barry Windsor-Smith for probably 35 minutes, because I fucking adore this guy. Every time I open this book, it's like a drug addict or an alcoholic, just like fucking seeing a drink. Like, it's like, oh my goodness, or seeing, I don't know, fucking heroin on the table. It's amazing. Like, it gives me the fucking, I hate to sound like a fucking weirdo. I don't have any goosebumps right now, but man, does it give me the fucking goosies, bro. It does. Like, it's just beautiful. And everybody should strive to this level of creativity. I mean, imagine if every comic looked like this. It's impossible, because Barry Windsor-Smith is Barry Windsor-Smith, but I'm sorry, people go fucking crazy over fucking Neil. I love Neil Adams, but I'm sorry. You're gonna fucking tell me that Barry Windsor-Smith ain't better than that dude? Come on now. Hemingway would be very upset with my English there. But anyways, I mean, look at the forms. Just, oh my God, look at the hatching on the fucking, oh my goodness, on just on the side of the form for the lighting and the shadow. Oh my God. And the color, like, I keep saying it, but I love these like deep reds and these pinks and these purples and these blues when you get like outside. Like, every color has like its own language in this book. It's jarring how beautiful this book is. I'm trying to be very different than all the other, Weapon X videos that you see where people just go, oh yeah. Like, I want to like fucking like sit here and just like fucking crank it, dude. Just crank it and then, every page is like beautiful. I mean, obviously I think that's John Byrne. Obviously, we know that. Come on now, right? Oh, I mean, every panel looks amazing. I'm sure somebody's in the comments gonna be like, "That's not actually John Byrne. That's blah 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 blah." It looks like fucking John Byrne. And man, I mean, just there are fine art pieces, modern art pieces that are just this, and they would sell for like $1 bajillion. Then you have this amazing form. Like, I love the way that kneecap goes into the top of the leg, into the bottom of the leg. That gesture of that muscle on the side of the leg. It's so beautiful, and just I love the way he draws the rib cage and the abs going into the pelvis, and then the squareness of that deltoid into that fucking very chunky upper arm, into that beautiful fucking coming at you forearm. It looks amazing. And then the turn of the arm there. Do you know how difficult it is to draw your arm turning? That shit is fucking difficult, and my guy makes it look easy, and it ain't easy. Look at the fucking hair. Look how flowing the hair is. We're on page 23, and we are 10 minutes into this video, and Barry Windsor-Smith is fucking blowing me away. I could talk about this guy I fucking love this dude. I really do. I love Jack Kirby, and I love all those other artists, but man, Barry might be my favorite. And when it comes to mainstream comics, a mainstream guy, Barry might be my favorite. And I always kind of go, oh, I like this guy. And then I take a look at Barry Windsor, because Barry Windsor, I'm going to turn as I'm talking. I'm probably going to see, well, let me finish the statement. Barry Windsor-Smith is kind of one of those guys that, like, I'm like, yeah, I remember the Barry Windsor-Smith stuff looks good. And then I open up a Barry Windsor-Smith book, and I'm like, no, that guy's probably the best that's ever done it. The amount of detail, the amount of work. And I was watching an interview that he did with, I'm sorry, I forget the dude's name, Brian something, after when Monsters came out. And he's like, I sometimes sit down and I feel like I can't draw. Dude, I don't know what the fuck you can't draw, but whatever the fuck you can't draw is miles ahead of the shit that I can draw. So, I don't know. He's modest. I like it. He knows he's fucking good. Come on. How could you look at this and not... Do you think Barry Windsor-Smith looks at this and goes, I don't like that. It looks like shit. If Barry Windsor-Smith does that, he should have been in a mental institution fucking like 30 years ago. Because this guy is fucking insanity. Amazing. Michelangelo, fucking Da Vinci would look at this shit and be like, my fucking God, we have competition. I mean, just amazing artists. I mean, look at the muscles there. Look at the forms of the muscles. Look at it's just all perfect. I love that the point of the elbow going up, like of the elbow bone going up, and that form of the forearm. The hatching is the thing that's just like, my goodness. And then I have to look at the color. I mean, look at that right there. Look at how those arms are tightening up, like the muscles of the arm are tightening up, they're flexing. I mean, just little fucking details like that. I don't think people would draw like that normally. And man, look at how the muscles of the back are tightening up. And those hands, look at those fucking hands, dude. You think a certain artist that people say, I was about to say his name, a certain artist that people say can't draw hands or feet would be able to draw something like that? I don't know if any artist would be able to draw something like that. Barry Windsor-Smith can. To think they wanted him to draw, I don't know if he intentionally, when he was doing Conan, drew like Jack Kirby. I'm not sure, but my goodness, you don't draw like Jack Kirby anymore at this point. Yes. Look at those claws coming out and that blood splatter. Remember, he's doing everything here. He's writing it, he's drawing it, he's lettering it, he's coloring it, he's doing everything. And thank God Marvel allowed him to do everything. I would have taken a look at these. Imagine being the editor. Was it Jim Shooter? I know, it may have been way after Jim Shooter. Maybe it was Jim Shooter. I don't know. But could you imagine getting this thrown on your fucking table and just being like, here you go. This is Barry's new issue. Or new... Because this was like in a short story of like a Marvel Presents or some shit. Probably a comic book that nobody was buying. And imagine seeing this shit and being like, whoa. Beautiful stuff. I mean, I love how the muscles, the arm muscles, like they lock into each other. I mean, this is shit that you learn in Bridgeman, and it's just, he just does it. And I mean, look, take a look at this right here, right? You see that cube right there, and that back muscle going in there. That's Bridgeman shit right there. You see that right there? That's what Bridgeman teaches you. And this motherfucker figured it out perfectly. You know what the side plane is. You know what the back plane is. You know where the planes are. You can learn so much. And that's the other thing. It looks great, but then you can learn so much from this fucking guy. You can learn so much just taking a look at this and just kind of sitting down. I always say, I act like I'm a fucking old man as well. I always say, no, I've never said this before. I sound like a fucking moron. This is the first time I'm saying it. Buy George Bridgman book. If you're like an intermediate artist, then buy this. Take a look at those Bridgman drawings and take a look at this. But this is like if Bridgman was 50 times better. And Bridgman was the king of fucking teaching drawing. And it's probably blasphemy to say that. But come on. I mean, this guy was... I mean, every fucking panel looks amazing. Every time I turn the page, it looks better than it previously did. Oh my goodness. Come on. Look at those hands. Look at those arms. Look at those muscles. How they lock into each other. I've already said that, but my goodness, it's... I love it. And look at the faces or the forms of the face. Look how beautiful the nose is there, and how you can clearly see the planes of the nose. I mean, everything is a form. He's not drawing anything flat whatsoever, which you shouldn't as a comic book artist. And some comic book artists you can see sometimes they draw some flat shit, but very rarely does it happen. But sometimes it does. It does happen. But Barry's just going fucking crazy here. And just, it looks, I mean, obviously drawing forms is like basic drawing 101, but he's not rushing here. He's putting everything on this page. He's putting everything he has on it into it. Like everything he has, he's putting into these drawings. Sorry, we're on page 31 and we are 16 minutes in. I told you it's gonna be a long one. I mean, look at that color. Look at that drawing there too. Amazing stuff. I love his form choices. What is it, like his shape design? And the composition, every panel looks amazing, and it's different. You're getting different views. You're getting different. I mean, obviously you're getting, this close up here, but you're getting different perspectives. You're getting different compositions. I mean, look at the struggle. You can see him struggling. It's just beautiful stuff. And to make it look that natural and to make it look that good, you're a master, for sure. For sure. Man. Look at all those wires and the backgrounds and everything that he's putting so much effort into. And then we get to these boring panels where nothing's happening. You kind of go, oh, well, it's the calm before the storm, because, I mean, look at that. That's the other thing, is like, it's so creative what's going on. Like, he's just being so, he's not being lazy here at all. There is nothing lazy about this comic whatsoever. I mean, he's putting in everything he has. And I don't think he was on a monthly schedule at this point. I think he was just kind of doing it. And I believe it took him quite a long time to do this because of the amount of effort he put into it. But my goodness. I mean, thank God they gave him the time. I mean, even just like Far Away, like this simple composition, simple perspective, simple everything, but it looks amazing. It looks so good. I love that piece there too. I mean, this is stuff that you could put into a museum for sure. And he's making comics. He's decided, I'm going to take all this skill that I have and I'm going to make comics. Probably because there was no money in fine art. And there really isn't much money in fine art unless you're a modern artist. And that's usually by people who usually bought by people who don't actually like art. I'm not going to get into it, but it's pretty much, let's be honest, it's a way for a bunch of crooks to fucking transfer their money back and forth with one another. But people who like fine art don't have money because they're artists. So there's no money in that. What money is in fucking learning to actually draw? They got to take it to a medium like comics, which is really sad state of the world we're living in, but it is what it is. But I mean, I love these solid colors, like a very Jack Kirby, like, I always say that. I have no idea if that's a Jack Kirby thing, like if Jack Kirby was the one who did it, but I always associate it with Jack Kirby because that's where I saw it, where you just put these solid colors in the background. But man, I don't know if he was in a rush and didn't have a lot of time, but I mean, look at, he's doing like bones and nerve endings inside the arm there. I mean, he's going deep into the anatomy there. Veins, stuff like that. Man, look at those hands. Look at that face. They always say that if you want to become a good artist, learn to draw the hands and learn to draw the face. Barry does it better than anybody, in my opinion. Better than anybody. Man, look at the machinery. It's just so beautiful. The wires, even the wires are beautiful. Man. And then, of course, this famous piece here. I mean, just, God. It's so fucking good. It's beautiful work. He has it completely down. Beautiful. I love that hunching, like he's kind of hunching forward. I couldn't imagine being able to draw this well. Like, I know it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours of hard work to get this good and studying correctly. But man, what a gift. What an amazing gift. If you can manage to have that much motivation and discipline to get this good. I mean, Barry Windsor-Smith wanted to be an artist. It wasn't like, oh, I'll be an artist and I'll make movies later. No, he wanted to be an artist and wants to be an artist. I think that's the big problem with comics now. You get these fucking people who are like, I'll just work and I'll just do, comics, and then eventually my book will get picked up and then I'll be a movie director. And Frank Miller is probably a little bit to blame for that because Frank was kind of that first guy who went from comic book creator to director. But Barry Windsor-Smith wanted to make comics, wanted to draw. Very sad that now he's much older and I don't think he's making comics anymore. Doesn't plan on making comics ever again. But thank God we have this work. But Barry he's an artist, you know, just like John Byrne was an artist. That's what they wanted to do. And they put as much effort into it as they possibly could. And I mean, Barry Windsor-Smith is just, I mean, even like the way that he does the bone, like the forearm going into the bone in the bottom of your arm, into your wrist. I mean, it looks amazing. It all looks right. It looks beautiful. It's just beautiful stuff. Now, when I see this, I definitely see the cubes of that's a Bridgeman cube drawing right there. And he's got all those forms there. All those forms there. Man, he even makes like a glass of like a cup of fucking coffee look good. You know? Look at all these close-ups of those muscles, those arms, those ligaments. Or limbs moving. And of course, I mean, you're going to fight a bear, right? Why would you not fight a bear? Man, this is when Canada was cool. You know what I mean? Canada never looked this fucking cool ever again. I mean, man, come on. Just look at the shadow there and just the forms, how the light hits the forms, and it's mostly in darkness. Beautiful. Love that lettering there for the sound effects. Man. Beautiful stuff. I'm gonna try to go through this as fast as possible because I would prefer this video not be like a million years long, but I mean, I just love what he's doing with the color there. He's getting those blues and the red of the blood and just the highlights. It's like kind of like a gray. He's using like all different kinds of different colors and mixtures of colors. It's beautiful stuff. He's being very creative, and that's an experimental, and that's the kind of stuff that you want to see. And it's even better when you can be experimental and it looks good. He experimented off the page, and then finally, when he gets on the page, it's just like, it's perfection at that point. I mean, look at how many fucking guys he had to draw there. The amount of humans he had to draw, and the amount of figure drawing that had to go on that page, and the twisting and the turning and the hunching and the foreshortening and it's just perspective. It's just beautiful. Just beautiful work. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I love that brown background. That's a very Wolverine thing. And I feel like people tried to draw Wolverine this way in the future and they just failed. Like Jim Lee, I think Jim Lee's a great artist. He's not like my cup of tea, but I think Jim Lee tried very hard, and sorry Jim, but it never looked this good. And I think Jim Lee would agree it never looked this good. I think this is the Wolverine artist for sure. You know, if you love Wolverine, this is the Wolverine artist. Just beautiful stuff. I love how like he's on fire and like his face is starting to melt away. It's man, so creative. And I'm sure that this went on to inspire so many Wolverine stories. Just amazing. You get these close-ups, amazing hatching there, so much detail, such beautiful face drawings. I mean, the claws coming out, I mean, did anybody do that before this? Like, did John Byrne do that? I'm not sure. I mean, just showing the claws coming out and the blood. I can't imagine that somebody did that before Barry Windsor-Smith. Yeah, I love stuff like that. He's being very creative here. Like, just like that must have blown people's minds when they saw this. I mean, come on, like, who would think of doing that? It's so, but it looks so good. I mean, look at that down there. I mean, just what an interesting choice. That looks like a Sandman drawing there. I imagine that probably the artists on Sandman were probably, I mean, how could you not? How could every comic book artist that was out at this time not look at this and be like, my goodness, that is beautiful stuff. I would feel very self-conscious if I was a comic book artist at the time, because I'd be like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to draw this good. Just, man. Man, look at that. Now I know didn't he come back maybe later and do something? I can't remember, but or maybe there's like an extra story or something. There was a whole thing with this. I can't remember, but I could be wrong. I mean, look, where do you get reference for that? He's been in the fucking tundra for a long time, that's for sure. Man, just like little things like that, like the snow on his face and stuff. And then you get these covers we'll go through. Amazing covers. I mean, come on now. This definitely sells comics for sure. I can definitely see Matt, and there's other stories in these, and I don't remember any of them being very good. Like, the only thing that stood out was the Weapon X stuff. Like, there was a bunch of other artists, and imagine having to follow this. Jesus. I'd be like, you want me to be in that with Barry? Maybe they didn't even know that Barry Windsor-Smith stuff was in it, but my goodness. I mean, look at the such a beautiful drawing there, twisting. Oh, look at that. You get a full page there. I think when you opened it, it was like that, I believe. And then I think these are like other graphic novels maybe that came out. And then you get a Wolverine gallery. I love this right here. Just, man. I love how there's that form of the chest there. Sometimes I struggle with that. I'm like, oh yeah, the chest, like the pecs are their own form. I mean, it's all there. You can learn so much from just taking a look at it. Yeah, so he returned to draw a flashback scene. That's right. Later on, and still looks great, but it doesn't have that. I'm guessing, yeah. So, but the color's off. Looks good. Looks great, but yeah, not the same. And then they're trying to sell Wolverine Origin to you, so. And then you get this, obviously, I think this was in the book, but iconic piece here where's Junk is covered, and then of course we are back to here. So we got in at 30 minutes, almost 31 minutes. So it'll probably be 32 minutes because I'm going to ramble for the last minute. But I love Barry Windsor-Smith, one of my favorite artists of all time. Probably the best, I think the best Wolverine artist of all time. It's not even close. You could throw other artists out there. I don't really care. I mean, I shouldn't say that because it makes you sound like a douchebag. I do care if you have other favorite Wolverine artists, but I just think he's my Wolverine artist. The best, in my opinion. Best mainstream guy ever. Also, in my opinion. These are all my opinions. It doesn't mean that it's fact. But beautiful comic. And I'm sad that we're not going to get any Barry Windsor-Smith work in the future. But this, in my opinion, is like his peak This is the most beautiful thing this guy's ever drawn. He's drawn some beautiful stuff after and before, but to me, this is kind of like that perfect level where Barry was kind of like given this mainstream character, allowed to do whatever he wanted to do with it, and really just knocked it out of the fucking park. And I'm sure Marvel was probably paying him really well to do it, but probably not paying him enough to do it. And I don't know if he owns all these originals. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I could not imagine seeing these originals. I mean, they're probably unfucking believable. If you could see them on that 11 by 17 size. Anyways, I think there is there a... I don't think there's an artist edition of this. I don't believe there is, and if there is, I should buy it, but I don't think there is. I think there was like a larger size that came in like black and white, which I didn't pick up, which I should have, or maybe it was in color. I can't remember. I don't think it was in black and white. No, I don't think there's a... I know that there are people who like prints black and white ones like in other countries and shit like that, which, come on, Marvel. Like, what are you doing? But that is Wolverine, Weapon X, by the amazing, iconic, brilliant, possibly greatest to ever do it, Barry Windsor-Smith.